welcome to Hey, did you see this one? If you're watching the Zoom, I have the nice logo behind me this week, but we are doing, as Steve has behind him, Orgazmo. It is the second week, aka the fourth week of my birthday month. We're doing Trey Parker and Matt Stone all month. Steve has vetoed us ever doing this again. I think he's experiencing a bit of comedy fatigue, especially where we went from South Park, which is very funny and holds up, to Cannibal the Musical, which is for super fans only, and now to Orgazmo, which after several years, I haven't seen this movie probably since I was in my mid-20s, and in my mid-20s I was a degenerate weirdo. And I still thought it was hilarious to walk up to somebody and fart in my hand and go like that to them, which is one of the funnier things in this movie, as you can tell by Steve's face. But now it did not tickle me the same way. There was a lot of things in this film that don't hold up. Some things get a little rapey, a little sexual assaulty, and especially the ending climax of the movie. And a lot of things I just misremembered as being a lot better than they were. And I think I'll go right into my original background with this movie, because I think this will sort of set the tone. Because we'll get to you guys in a second, but
hit us.
I saw this movie for the first time in probably 1999. I was 14. My friend worked at a like convenience store in the boonies that had like a very small wall of DVDs and VHS.
Nice.
Like very small. Like I'm talking like maybe 30 total in Prospect, Nova Scotia. And
That's
somehow this movie, which has always been rated NC-17, they couldn't get it down to an R rating, was on this wall of just like, Mission Impossible and fucking The Matrix and fucking whatever else. So we rented it, being fans of basketball and South Park, and it blew our fucking minds because it's basically a parody of pornography, parody of porno movies, but it's also a parody of Mormons. And seeing Trey Parker in like a leading role was something we had only really seen in basketball. But Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and what's Squeak's name? Dian Bachar?
I think it's something like that.
He's sort of the supporting role in this. So we were like, what the hell are these South Park men doing in this weirdo movie? Many years later, you come to find out that it sort of they made this movie and then South Park at like kind of at the same time, until South Park was created.
Was basketball after this movie?
Yeah, that's like 98 or 99. Basically, they were still independent filmmakers until South Park got picked up. I've been watching a lot of like interviews with them. There's one called Tam 5 or something like that. I think it's Tam 5, and it's Penn Jillette's like conference, where he has different panels on from people he likes and his friends, but people specifically that like to like debunk stuff.
Yeah.
And I watched it was about 35 minutes, and I watched them just talk about a myriad of different things regarding this. And basically, yeah, they were just independent filmmakers, and through a series of flukes they got South Park. But they did make this right before they popped off. And of course, a baby Jason, barely in high school, would see this and pretty much would warp my sense of comedy.
Did you
forever.
cream your pants? Did you get Orgazmo raid?
Probably, maybe a little bit. I don't know. Like now watching back, it's laughably sexless because of it's, you know what I mean? I'm wondering if when I was a, mid-teenager, I was like, oh man, I can see part of a boob. Oh man. Steve asked me yesterday to take count of the amount of dude ass. Bare dude ass right in front of the camera. We'll get to that when we get into the show.
I gave a very liberal answer to that.
Sweet. I imagine you also have an answer for the
like
first
you
time
didn't count it and you're just like guessing, or
Well, there was some where it was like the same guy, like it was the ass, and then it went to another shot of whoever else was in the scene, then back to the ass. So I counted it as like 2 or 3 or whatever.
Mine was the establishing shot of an ass.
Okay.
Each individual.
What about side ass?
It was bare ass crack. Are the ones I
thong
counted.
doesn't count?
No, there's a part where Chota Boy is slapping his ass. So he's like, pss, pss, pss. I didn't count that because it wasn't bare ass with ass crack. Anyway,
but what about thong? What about thong though?
Stop, Kalen. We're getting mixed up in the details.
That's what the viewers want.
Do they? We haven't got any.
Maybe the ones who are watching for you.
Yeah, and we haven't got any feedback from any viewers. A single viewer hasn't really given us much feedback. So, comment. If you're watching the video on demand version of this, please leave a comment or something. Let us know you're watching. You get sort of yelling into the echo chamber that is the internet. Sort of, you get dejected once in a while.
We should make a prize for one of our viewers.
Well, I'll give you $100 if you comment on this video. How about that?
No.
I'm not really going to do it. I'm going to tell them I'm going to do it. Then I'm not going to follow through. I just want to see if anybody's paying attention, honestly. We do have things coming down the pipe. I'm getting a little bit more motivated to start making the YouTube videos. We do have a backlog of Zoom calls now. Anyway, Kaylin, why don't you tell us about your history with this film? That's right.
I would be glad to. That sounds pretty fancy for this flick.
Well, there's no car chase. There's only sort of an explosion. So.
Touche. There's a car though, isn't there? There's a car ride at one point, isn't there?
They run away from people in a car at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, so there is a car chase and an explosion. Boom! It's a movie. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. My introduction to this movie. So my first introduction to this movie was seeing it on the shelf at Jumbo Video or whatever on Quimple Road there. And it's just this guy in his pink onesie, and it says Orgazmo, and there's like some chicks hanging onto his legs or whatever. And I actually thought it was a porno. Like I thought I wasn't like, because I was young at the time, so I didn't want to look like, I didn't want to get in trouble or whatever, so I didn't like touch it. And I didn't know anything about Trey Parker or Matt Stone at the time or anything like that. But I do remember the cover very vividly in my mind from when I was a kid. And I think this was the first time I actually watched it. I did have some laughs. I did have some nice personal little laughs. I was saying earlier that I might add this to the collection, and it's more so just to show to have like the whole collection kind of thing and show the growth of their work. But you can definitely see hints of, like, there's a few things in this that show up in some of their other work as well. So
yeah, absolutely. There's that noise at the Orgazmo.
The dead giraffe, man! I laughed my ass off at that.
Yeah.
So funny. It was the gun was dead, so it made a dead giraffe sound.
Yeah, it definitely a lot like, Cannibal. There's a lot of recycled jokes, sort of blueprints for jokes you'll see later in South Park. So
the throwing the fart in the face. One of my friends used to do that to me back in the day, and so when I saw that bit, I laughed my ass off. He doesn't seem like the person that would have ever watched this movie, but again, like, how much do you really know about someone? Was that in anything else that you guys are aware of?
No, but all it takes is one shithead to do that once at a birthday party, and then all those kids go and do it to all their friends, and then it spreads like a fucking disease.
I will also add to what I was saying for my intro, that the summer that we watched this and it became part of our like friend group, we came here to Toronto for the like grade 9 class trip or whatever. And we were running around doing it to each other, and also we kept going stunt cock all the time. Like, there were a lot of like little things from this movie that we would I am Sancho. We used to say that all the time, and they're like, you come here, down, and he farts right in his face. We used to do like not actually do it to each other because nobody would actually be like, okay.
Yeah.
But we would do that to each other. Steve's like, oh, you were that group. But we were just
Steve doesn't want to be friends with us anymore.
But we weren't like a big group. We just like were the nerds kind of outcasts who watched this kind. It wasn't like we weren't like the jocks doing it to each other.
You were the middle class.
We were like the class clown collective.
Yeah.
So that's our other podcast, the Class Clown Collective.
That's actually a way better name for a podcast than, hey, did you see this one? But
add that one to the Underboober.
Exactly. Coming soon from Hey, did you see this one? Industries, Underboober, and
the people who brought you
Clown.
Underboober from the Class Clown Collective.
Yeah, that's the overarching thing.
The whole name.
Underboober,
That's the whole, yeah.
Hey, did you see this one? And my solo project where I just go live on TikTok and yell at nobody will also be part of that, and that's just called Important Influencer Presents.
Do you want me to link up with you on TikTok?
If you want to. Steve, I assume Kaylin was done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Steve, why don't you enlighten us with your present, past, and future as the I don't know, I'm just talking.
Sure. I saw this movie in the 8th grade for the first time at a birthday party. It was like a sleepover birthday party. And like you get invited to a birthday party, and then you're like all of a sudden surrounded by a bunch of the kids that you're not really friends with, but you're friends with the one guy who invited you. So you're kind of like, for the first time, interacting with a bunch of kids you've never interacted with outside of school. That was the situation. And we're all in sleeping bags in his basement. And I start to realize, like, oh, this kid's parents doesn't give a shit and just lets him do whatever the fuck he wants, including rent Orgazmo for his birthday party. I guarantee you, if my parents had known that Orgazmo was going to be on display for the evening's entertainment, I probably wouldn't have been allowed to go to that birthday party.
They're the ass fuck twins. Their names are the ass fuck twins.
Okay, can we just call them the naughty twins? It's like, no, they get fucked in the ass. That's what they do. Like, that's pretty naughty. That was a good line. So I saw it again in, I want to say, high school. A couple years later, we had watched all it was around when Team America came out, which I think was like the end of high school for me. It was probably a little bit later in your lives for you guys, but
I think that's 2002. So yeah, we're getting on.
Yeah, so I would have been like mid high school.
Yeah.
I remember my girlfriend at the time was 18 and I was 17, so I wasn't allowed to see it. But because I was with her, she was able to get me in. I was like, yes, because for 18A you just have to be accompanied by an adult, and the adult just has to be 18. That's all it means.
Robin the Cradle. Gross.
We were like 6 months apart. I'm pretty sure it was like it was fine. And yeah, so we went through like a phase where we wanted to watch all of them. And I remember being like, South Park is good and Team America is good. Orgazmo is weird, and it's just as weird as I remember it being. Because again, I think I mentioned this on one of the other episodes so far, detailing the work of these guys, that a lot of their humor just grosses me out. And this is kind of the encapsulation of that. And I started listening to the after watching it yesterday while I was doing some work, I put on the audio commentary for it, and I couldn't finish it because I was like, nope. these are those kids from that birthday party all grown up, and I don't want to. There's a reason I don't hang out with them anymore. And I've said before, they're very intelligent and funny, and they found a very good formula to keep a television show on the air for 25 years or however long it's been on at this point. And that formula is very much scripting jokes, and there is no really scripted jokes in this movie. It's all sight gags and sound gags, and there's a few lines here and there that are funny, but other than that, it's all just visual comedy. And to me, one of the disappointing things about visual comedy and raunchy comedy in general is it tends not to age very well, and this is a very good example of humor not aging well for me. And again,
for instance, one thing I just want to point out to that is Ron Jeremy is in jail for multiple sexual assaults, and a lot of jokes involved him. So
What
But a lot of the jokes that
appeal to
involved
Ron
him,
Jeremy?
a lot of the jokes that involved him in this movie were just him being there. Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, Ron Jeremy's in this scene. That's the gag, is that he's there. There was nothing else to his character other than the fact that he was Ron Jeremy and was in the movie. It's like, oh, there's Ron Jeremy again.
The little hedgehog. Like, so are you
Yeah.
telling me, if I'm assuming he has a big dick, are you telling me if a hedgehog had a big dick that people would fuck it?
I don't think anybody told you that. You just said that. What? Is that a line from this movie that I missed or something?
No, I'm curious.
that's really funny to me.
I'm gonna say the answer to that is probably no.
A
Because bestiality
resounding
is very
no.
illegal.
A
Yeah.
resounding no.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like more people are probably attracted to a human being than a hedgehog.
I'd hope so.
But how are they attracted to Ron? How are they attracted to Ron Jeremy?
I mean, when he was younger, he fine. He's got nice eyes, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, he has a big giant dong. Like he's in porno for a reason. The reason being he has a big giant
Probably
dong.
because he lasts a long time.
I don't know. What do you?
Well-
This is Kaylin's weird theory corner. This is a
Kaylin,
whole different
I'll tell
theory
you-
corner.
I'll tell you exactly the appeal of Ron Jeremy. In the 70s and 80s, the porn was a lot different. You went to a theater to watch it, and
Ugh.
it did like you went and watched it like a movie sometimes. There were scuzzy
Weren't you not
theaters.
allowed to jerk off though?
Well, no, those were the scuzzy theaters, but
You're still not allowed to.
some theaters you went and watched the movies, but the thing is nowadays you watch porn and the dudes are all like jacked and they're kind of just like fuck posts for the women. Okay, they're more like they're there to just get the things done to them. They're not really part of the show. They're just usually like pretty faceless, nameless dudes. Vanilla porn anyway. I'm talking purely vanilla. I don't know what you guys are into, but
I
in
like
the
milk
70s
munchers.
you couldn't pick and choose your fetish, your genres really as the way you can today. And men were like self inserts. They were cast as self inserts in the movies. And Ron Jeremy was a big fat guy, who looked
He
kind
wasn't
of like.
big and fat when he was younger.
No,
He
that's
was
true.
just
But
short.
Sure.
he was schlubby and he was
Yes.
kind of always schlubby.
I have seen
Stocky.
pornographic films with Ron Jeremy in them when he was a young man and he was just short and hairy.
Yeah,
I
But
need to
he-
message my buddy.
he does have a giganto dong. I don't know if I've ever actually seen it, but he does have a
Yeah.
giganto dong.
I've seen it.
But in porn
it
movies in
nice?
the 70s and 80s,
It's a dick. It's like most giant dicks look exactly the same. It's just a big dick. Like
the big
you're
old
not like,
dong
ooh la
found a
la, Mr. Ron Jeremy. Also, he's a horrible person. We should stop talking about him.
Yes, we can move on.
I will say
actual
one
red
funny
jokes.
thing though is that he has narcolepsy and apparently he kept falling asleep during the filming of this movie, which is pretty funny.
That's a good fact.
The
Sorry,
Jizz Master Zero.
So Steve, were you done telling us about the first time you saw this movie or your background?
Yeah, I just saw it at a birthday party for a kid whose parents were skeevy and nasty and didn't
And
give a
everybody
shit
was in
about-
their sleeping bag and they all had boners.
Yeah. I can't imagine like being a parent and going to Jumbo Video or Blockbuster Video and your child coming up to you with Orgazmo and saying, "I want to rent this for my birthday party," and then you saying okay and like not contacting the rest of the parents and being like, by the way, they're gonna watch this movie called Orgazmo.
Yeah.
It's a comedy.
So I actually pulled up the IMDb version of the storyline, and it's Wikipedia is like 3 paragraphs, but this looks like a pretty concise. So I'm going to read this super concise storyline, and then we can talk about all the things in this movie that are fucking weird. Joe Young
Right.
was a simple young man trying to spread the word of the Book of Mormon when he picked the wrong host to preach at. The owner, a porn director named Maxxx Orbison, that's with 3 X's, tells his henchmen to kill the guy at the door who interrupted their scene. But Joe fights off the guards with great skill, which impresses Max so much that he offers Joe the lead role in the movie he's making at that moment, Orgazmo, which is about a sex superhero who fights crime with his orgasmerator and Turtle Boy, his sidekick. Joe, against his beliefs, takes the job so that he can pay for the wedding. He plans for himself and his fiancée, who he doesn't tell about his risque new acting job. This person doesn't know about run-on sentences. That's why it sounds weird the way that I'm reading it. Um, However, when the movie becomes an amazing hit, you know, second only to fucking Star Wars, better
I
than
think
When
it's
that was a Jurassic
Star
Park.
Wars, Jurassic Park, Orgazmo.
Yeah.
I think is
E.T.
the
And
order.
then E.T.
yeah.
Yeah.
However, when the movie becomes an amazing hit just about everywhere, wait, what? Okay. However, when the movie becomes an amazing hit just about everywhere, and he finds out that Ben Chota Boy has created a real orgasmerator, Joe is in some serious hot water in this 24-karat comedy. Rob Schneider is Orgazmo. Not really. He's not. Rob Schneider is not in this movie, but that's a South Park reference, so I thought I'd say it.
Nice. Where did this sidekick voice come from?
Is that the end of the synopsis?
Yeah, some other stuff happens in this movie, so maybe we just talk about what happens after that.
Yeah, his girlfriend finds out he's been making porno.
Right.
She comes to visit him
Hey,
and wants to
Dan.
visit this set, and then he decides that he prefers to get married to his fiance rather than continue making pornography. And also he's Mormon, so it's against God. And the Max, what's his name, Max Rebo or
Maxxx Orbison.
Maxxx Orbison is also like a mafia guy, I guess. And he kidnaps his girlfriend, holds her hostage in the hopes that Orgazmo will return to finish the movie. But instead, he returns to kick the shit out of him, which he does. And he blasts
And also
him
make
so
him
many
come a lot.
Well, he blasts him with the Orgasminator so many times that his penis and testicles have to be removed in like the post-credits scene, and he comes back as like the real neutered man or whatever he's called.
Neutered man.
Yeah.
There's a subplot in this where they go to a sushi place and it's
Yeah, but that plot doesn't matter.
Well,
That plot literally doesn't
G
matter.
Fresh? You didn't love G Fresh?
It does.
I'm saying that plot has literally no impact on the rest of the movie.
I know,
whatsoever.
but it has impact on the month. G Fresh, I believe, is
The same guy from Cannibal?
Yes. And his daughter, I believe, is the girl that keeps looking at Squeak in that movie.
Also, his character was a sex-crazed character as well.
Yep. And also, G Fresh is super offensive. But the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because those goons are like trying to put the squeeze on G Fresh, and then it's revealed later in the movie that those goons are actually Maxxx Orbison's goons as well.
Exactly. It's layered. This week's episode,
It's layered.
Orgazmo.
The movie Orgazmo is layered. You heard it here first on the film and movie podcast. Did you see this one?
Really?
I'm trying to find G Fresh's name because there's some interesting information about him as well. He owned a sushi restaurant in Boulder, Wisconsin, I believe, or Colorado. Yeah, and that's how they met him. But then Trey Parker was also learning Japanese while he was in school.
Boulder, Wisconsin.
I meant Colorado. I'm sorry. Wow, that's funnier than this whole movie that you selected to do a whole episode on.
It's true. I did it in hopes that we do a short episode this week. Actually, I was thinking about that all day. It's like, what if we just don't? What if
it's like a 10-minute episode?
What if
we're done.
What if there's too much weird 90s sex jokes that wouldn't fly now? That there's nothing to talk about, because I kind of hit a wall with this movie with where they take the orgasmerator for a test run and they're orgasmerating random people and giving them orgasms against their will.
No one gets boners though. That part upset me.
Well, they just come.
Yeah,
they were already pushing the envelope with this concept, so they probably weren't allowed to do that.
Yeah, I wonder if there was a conversation where they tried to get this movie into theaters at one point, or if it was always just, we're gonna make whatever the fuck we want.
Anyway, the guy who plays G Fresh, who's also in Cannibal the Musical, he became friends with Trey Parker because they were both taking English and Japanese in the same course at the same time.
We posited last episode that's how they.
But then he also owned a restaurant that they visited all the time. So their like friendship grew to the point that they're like, let's put him in our movies.
And food brings everyone together.
Yeah, I was learning during like the commentary that but half the time they say things and then they all laugh and I'm like, are they just saying things or is this actual information? I don't think that they like respect the idea of the commentary while they're doing it to be like, we're gonna give you real information. They're like, no, we're just gonna make fun of our own movie.
There is one thing I learned there. Well, I mean, throw them down. Who cares? Because it's just interesting to listen to. It could possibly be true, but I did learn about the origin of South Park, which I guess pertains to this in so much as that it's Trey Parker and Matt. No, we're not talking about Flash Gordon, but close. Actually, that's a funny. Matt there in the Instagram chat asked us if we were talking about Flash Gordon. Have you guys seen Flash Gordon? Let me talk about my thing first. Let me talk about my thing.
Just like
there's like and it's a lot. It's a lot in the same vein, no pun intended, as this movie situation.
The main vein.
The vein, like
it's a lot in the main vein.
But South Park is actually a perfect so Trey Parker is from Colorado and from a little town, I think he said south of a place called South Park. And South Park is this weird, like perfect circle in the the Circle Valley in the Colorado
Springs
Rockies. And apparently it's where all of the like weird shit happened colloquially. So if you're like, oh, up in South Park, they've got aliens, or there, cattle mutilations happen up there in South Park. And he figured that would be a great place to have the town of South Park. Also, now when you look at that shot of them zooming in on South Park at the beginning, it kind of looks like the mountains would create. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. That's probably a real thing because they were like kind of in a panel. They were panelists.
Utah took a beating this movie.
Everybody hates Utah. Salt Lake City, man. That's why.
Is it just boring there or something? Or I think they made a joke about it in Cannibal as well.
It's boring as fuck. It's flat. It's where all the religious fanatics live. It's there's like, have you seen the movie SLC Punk?
Is that the one with Willard something? Or no, not Willard.
Yeah, Fred.
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard,
yeah,
not Fred
yeah.
Willard. Fred Willard is the old guy who died a couple of years ago, who's in everything. Matthew
R.I.P. to Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh yeah, rest in peace, Gilbert Gottfried, the greatest telling of the Aristocrats joke. But that movie takes place in Salt Lake City, and it's like the punk movement, and they're all, it's the 80s. They're punks. They, are anti-establishment. It's very religious. No alcohol after midnight kind of thing. Or no alcohol at all. Sorry. And I think Mormonism has roots there. I don't know if it was started there, but
I'd like to try the challenge of no alcohol after midnight.
Like a town
just
with
drink
no
a bunch. No, just drink a bunch of alcohol before midnight.
At 11:59, you just get fucking completely faced.
Just like
and then sneak off to the bathroom with the pitcher, and then just hang out in the bathroom for a while.
I mean, alcohol off the table at 2, and then you just fucking keep drinking anyway because the bartender. Anyway, we're getting wildly off topic. I need to open the door because it's sweltering.
Smells like farts?
No, it doesn't.
The conversation has got him hot and heavy. I'm also.
Would you like to know my butt count?
Yes.
So I gave a liberal 25 butts.
25 butts. Okay.
Wow.
Now my butts were, as I mentioned, there was a repeated butt in one scene.
Yeah. So you were just counting the amount of times they show a butt on screen. Got it.
Yeah. There was side butt. I counted that. Like it was the butt, but it wasn't the full butt. It was just the side butt. And then there's also some thong butts, which I counted those thong butts as well.
Right. But I only wanted man butts. I didn't
know that.
Yeah, I didn't.
That was literally what I said. Man butts only.
I'll bring up the text right now.
So
you can if you want. I literally wrote man butt.
The girl that plays Jordy, the girl who keeps getting bigger and bigger breast implants, that's Polly from Cannibal. She's also done she's done lots of voices in South Park and stuff. This one, she like looks completely different because she does this like kind of cross-eyed
This is
thing that's
implant.
like good comedy acting. And then this
Yeah.
one, her sole purpose is to just get injured all the time and be like a hilarious bimbo, which was pretty good, I guess. I don't know. I think that's the kind of sexism joke that kind of can still fly. But there's a
Nope.
lot of stuff in this movie that I just didn't like find funny as a fully formed adult.
Yeah, it's kind of rough. There are certain things that I appreciated here and there. Like I did like the subversion of like every time you're about to see someone's boobs, like a big butt
Yeah.
goes on screen. Like
Now.
that
Yeah.
is on paper to me a funny concept, but
Yeah.
I didn't find myself laughing at it. I think
What
the
about
only
the first
thing,
one?
the first one I was like, oh, okay, I know what I'm in for.
Yeah.
Now I'm remembering this movie. I'm
I
interested.
only had 7 dude ass.
Well, that's because you counted it appropriately. Kalen was counting every ass that appears on screen.
I'm pretty sure that's not right. There was 5 El Mariachis, right?
I think
And then there was
did they turn around?
there was no.
the
I
first
think there
shot
was
is it
2
zooms
sets.
up and they're all playing. And you
Oh,
see their
okay.
butts.
So yeah, add the mariachi band to my 7. So what's that? 13?
That sounds better.
Yeah. I wasn't. Did you get them saying Orgazmo for the first time? Because I'm pretty sure it's early. Let's get that.
It's within the first 4 minutes and 31 seconds when the actress, when Chiz Master Zero or whatever reveals himself, she's like, ah, and then Orgazmo to the rescue. And she's like, oh, Orgazmo.
I wonder, because I know that Trey Parker writes the majority of his scripts by himself, and he doesn't have like a writing team, and he doesn't have anybody vet the scripts beforehand. He's just like, here's a script, and then they film it. And I do think that I'm not sure why that is, because he's got funny people around him. Like all these people must be funny. And I know that they like write their scripts when they're like on acid and stuff, so they probably think things are ridiculously funny than they actually are. But like the Santos stuff, like they added that extremely late to the script, and it doesn't happen until like 45 minutes into the movie, and it's just there for that character to exist in that one scene, and then for 5 seconds in another scene, and he doesn't have anything else to do.
It's so weird too, because in my memory I was reminded of him in a way that it was like core memory unlocked, and then he doesn't do anything in the whole movie. And I don't know why. When I was 15, it's the same thing probably when you're all fucked up on drugs and you come up with a joke like that. When you're 15, all of these jokes land.
Yeah,
all of them.
Well, I don't know if a 15-year-old now would agree with you, but a 15-year-old in 1999 might agree with you.
The brand of comedy, also the action scenes in this were like better than they should have been.
Yo, was that actually him?
I think some of it was. I think some of it was, and
yeah,
you know what I mean.
Some of it is, if like I was watching it on my computer, so I was extremely close to the screen while watching it, and there's no stunt double in there for a lot of stuff. I mean, there are some parts. And it's not like the ballerina from the other movie where it's clearly
not him. I think that's where this movie really excelled for me, because there's a couple scenes that went on really long in an 80s action movie kind of way, like the fight in the sushi restaurant when he first meets the goons and he fights like waves of guys in front of I guess it's the same 4 guys getting up, but then the final battle is them just like fighting through the porn mansion, and it felt like the end of an 80s action movie. And I think there's a duality here of it. They wanted to do a Mel Brooks-esque parody of like porn tropes, but also tropes from 80s action movies to sort of punch it up a bit to make it a little bit
I feel like they probably should have leaned into that a little bit harder, because there wasn't enough of it for me.
Like go more superhero with it too.
Yeah, I would have preferred to watch the Orgazmo movie where he is like the character of Orgazmo throughout, and like that's there. Even though I don't know what that story would be, I feel like it would somehow be more interesting. But I don't know. It's hard because again, there's lots of moments that I'm like, if they just spent a little bit more time to live in this moment to like expand on this joke, because they throw a joke at you, and then the second you're processing it, they'll try and do like another funny thing on top of it, and that thing will fall flat, and it makes the other thing just before it that
Getting
was a little bit
interrupted.
funny also feel not funny anymore. It's like almost like an anti-comedy sort of moment where it's like, oh, this is funny. Oh, now that's not funny, and now that thing's not funny anymore either because this thing is dreadfully unfunny. And that happened to me over and over and over again throughout the movie, where I would appreciate a moment that was, it felt like they were going to live it a little bit longer, and then it just gets completely canceled out by something right after it. I think an example would be when the stunt cock first comes in, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going?" And he keeps saying it to like everybody. And I thought that was like, that was the one moment where I laughed out loud, and I was like, okay, that's good. And then I don't even remember what happens directly after it, but it just like erased the entirety of the humor for me.
I still really like the like black dude coming in, because that's just everybody looks at him.
But then the joke that comes right after that is that the director is like, and you don't see a problem with this? And the guy's like, no. And then he's like, okay. And like that kind of ruined the other thing for me. Whereas like, where if they just didn't even like recognize, if they didn't pay any attention to it whatsoever, it's a little bit more funny.
So to compare and contrast their first two movies, it's like cannibals joke types, they kind of dwelled on the joke for too long to the point that it like or lack of jokes. And this movie they try to do a joke out of every single little thing, and that kind of fell flat. And the thing is I'm worried now because Basketball, like I said, I watch it every year. It's a great movie. It's funny, and it's kind of the peak of, it's like the trilogy should be these three movies. South Park and Team America are two animated films for all intents and purposes. And I think those three, you see them get better and better. But I'm worried now that Team America specifically isn't going to hold up because the jokes are of a different time in a way where the brand of comedy isn't something that I sort of politically
I remember anymore. Like I think I went into this a little bit during South Park, where the wrong people cling onto the wrong things for the wrong reasons, and then it just you end up at a party, and then you can immediately identify the people that you don't want to be around because they're yelling things from a movie that you're like, that's offensive out of context, and anybody who doesn't understand what you're doing right now is not going to find that funny, and you just look like an idiot, and you're offending people by doing it. And that's the issue that I have with certain types of humor, crude humor, for example, this movie, is if somebody clings onto the wrong thing for the wrong reason and says it at the wrong time, it's then problematic. And I it's not that I hate these movies, it's just that I find it uncomfortable to watch them, especially when you're by yourself and there's no one around you to like, at least you can kind of bounce off of each other to be like, what? And find some humor in it, or hyper focus on the things you do find funny for a moment.
I feel like I've tortured you with the 5 weeks of Trey Parker and Matt Stone. There's other stuff we could do from Trey Parker and Matt Stone, like the TV series That's My Bush and the Book of Mormon stage show. You know, those are the two.
Well,
we could keep
listen,
going.
I remember liking Basketball when I watched it, but I haven't watched it since I was a teenager, so I don't know what my response is going to be now.
I'm pretty sure we're going to like it.
I think we're going to like it.
Listen, we can say that all we want right now, but that doesn't mean that's what's going to be the case next week when I walk in here.
I'm obviously a huge fan of Trey Parker and Matt Stone, but this movie kind of was a misfire, and it was kind of hard to get through as a almost 37-year-old fully formed adult male.
I was able to get through Cannibal and appreciate Cannibal a little bit more because they were film students who somehow like scraped together enough money to make a feature-length movie, and it was impressive to do what they did at the age that they were. They were literally still in film school. This is them with an inflated budget, and they couldn't make me care about anything that was going on, and I didn't laugh, and I didn't find it funny.
So there's a meme about meme culture that's like before memes, dudes would sit around and quote
I saw that the other day.
Would quote Anchorman for literal hours. And this comes
true.
This comes from that era where you watch a movie 4 times in a week with your buddies, or it's a movie that's always on the TV in the background while you're hanging out after school, and it becomes highly quotable because of that. And
Right. Okay. But
this
the difference
movie,
between something like Anchorman and this is that Anchorman is harmless in its humor. There's
no, I know,
nothing
I know,
in
I know.
Anchorman that's going to be
That's not
detrimental to a specific person that's
that's not my
walking
that's
through
not
a
my
party.
point. That's not my point here. My point is that the reason why I think that this movie held such a high regard in my memory is because it was one of those things. Now, you could say the
Right.
same thing about basketball, and we're going to have a conversation about that element of it because it is highly quotable. But I think it's just a better put together movie. I know that's a conversation for next week.
Well, it's a higher budget. It
Yeah.
is them evolving in terms of like writing and filmmaking. And I think that it's also the first one where Matt Stone is also billed.
It's like
Like he's considered part of the main cast. Like in this movie, he's not even really in it, right? Like he's there and they're friends.
He still nails it though. Yeah.
Okay.
But
all
even
right,
his role,
he nails that character.
The problem with his role is you can't, which was highly quotable in the year 2000, you can't say his amazing lines anymore because they have a fucking.
They're not amazing. They're not amazing lines. The joke is the joke is that he progressively he's saying a homophobic thing to non-homophobic things or non-homosexual things, and it slowly escalates to the point that it turns out, oh, this guy's probably gay, which is a funny joke, but it's also a slow burn, but it's also offensive. Like, right? Like,
and
it's
it wasn't
offensive.
But it wasn't that bad then. I mean, in retrospect it was, but back then people said these kinds of things, and it was a lot. Like,
there is power
about it. You talked about the power of words in that vein. I forget, it was a couple of, I don't know if it was literally, it may have been during South Park.
I think it was South Park, yeah.
You have a different scope on these sorts of things.
Right? Yeah.
You had a different upbringing with it. And that's the part that I really feel like we need to respect when we remember these elements. But I will say that that joke, that slow burn escalation through that movie was one of the favorite jokes of not only the people who said it for the wrong reasons, but the people who knew the difference, that weren't saying it to be homophobic, but to just say the joke. And
yeah, but a lot of people don't even understand what homophobia really is until they meet a gay person in life and befriend them, and then they, like, those people that unfortunately don't realize that there are gay people all around them are still talking in the exact same way, and it's unfortunate. And some of the people that do will still talk that way behind closed doors, like it doesn't really matter, which is also unfortunate.
Yeah, I more so liked his face and the sound of his voice, not necessarily what he would.
You mean this face?
Yeah, exactly.
I really like when he would ruin the take by cheering for the porn.
Yeah, suck that dick.
You didn't like that? Come on, ruining the take for cheering for porn because he was how does that guy get hired?
I like the concept, but execution is everything. And again, like, there's certain things that just, like, on paper I can see why that is a very funny concept, but it didn't land for me, and it was surrounded and flanked by other things that were not funny, which makes that thing that should be funny less funny, because they're trying to do too many things that are funny at the same time.
Yeah, I get that.
And it's not in like I know you brought up Anchorman for a completely different point of reference, but like, you look at something like Anchorman where it is a lot of them improving stuff, and they'll just sit there for like 45 minutes with the camera set at different angles, and they'll just get Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, all of them to just improv for 45 minutes straight, and then in the editing room they will craft something amazing.
It's written by Adam McKay, who's an amazing fucking writer. Like, Adam McKay is one of my favorite modern.
That's the other thing that I think
filmmakers.
This movie and most of their work, I think, is that, like, they don't improv. It's very heavily scripted, and it's very obviously heavily scripted. I know that Trey Parker probably improvs some of his like like his like weird stuff that he does in the background, like to fill in the
T-Rex
that's written. Yeah, okay. Another thing that is like, all right.
What did you say, Caleb?
We get it. It's a fat joke.
I love T-Rex.
T-Rex.
I'm not letting go of T-Rex. T-Rex is one of the funniest things I had ever seen. Again, when I was 15 years old. But that was one of the highly quotable things. We'd be like, "Come on now, I gotta make my curve now," and that was hilarious to us. But I don't know if it was
apparently this is an interesting fact. That's one of the reasons that they couldn't get it brought down from the NC-17 is because of that scene. And it's like, there's no nudity in that scene. It's just a fat lady. Like they
Just unsettling.
the ratings board were like, no, you have to either remove that or and it's like, but she's not naked. She's not even really doing anything overly sexual. She's just like jiggling on top of him.
I like how that scene is just a joke and unrelated to anything else in the whole movie. It's just one scene where it's like, now you got to do this, and it's like, I don't want to do that, and then it's revealed what he has to do, and it's like, I definitely don't want to do that, but then he does it, and that's the joke. They could have just cut that and probably got an R rating if that's what it was. But Trey Parker, he said something interesting in the same panel I was watching about.
Is he egotistical?
No, his regrets, and he's like, I don't really regret anything, but I do regret season 2 and half of season 3 because of the things that I found funny back then are definitely not things that I find funny now. And I feel like if he could go back and change things about Orgazmo and punch things up, and like what Steve's talking about, where you just make the jokes make sense a little bit more. The execution. I think a remake of Orgazmo by Trey Parker and Matt Stone now could be a lot funnier.
Well, they would definitely make it a musical.
It would be a musical, and it would probably be a musical more about porn culture the way that it is now. And Orgazmo
I think
would
it'd be
just
funnier
be
as a cartoon.
Yeah, I could see
like South Park style.
If this movie had popped off the way they probably wanted it to, I'm sure, because Jay and Silent Bob got like a R-rated cartoon back around this time.
I got it.
You know what I mean? So Orgazmo as like an action adult cartoon with like heavy metal style nudity and stuff in it, like could have worked. No, I mean like heavy metal the movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not the genre of
music. Which that movie has in it. But it's more like hair metal, so you be the judge.
Yeah. And again, like I have no end of praise for the two of them and the friends that are around them, because I'm pretty sure Chota Boy, what is his name? Dian
Bachar?
Not too sure.
I can't remember. Anyway, that guy
Dian. I just don't know.
That guy still he's on South Park doing voices to this day. Like you'll hear him every once in a while.
Oh no,
Dian Bachar,
because he has a very specific voice. It's like high pitched, and he has that sort of it's like a dog whistle when he says S's, basically.
I also love how he's like his acting as Chota Boy. He's always like, and Chota Boy. I just love that.
The voice, yeah.
He's like a 1960s radio play.
Radio man,
yeah. That's a good choice, but his acting actually wasn't that bad in the movie either. Like Trey Parker and Matt Stone is absolutely horrible. Like his acting is just like to a level where it's like you are just a cartoon character.
He's just making a face. Yeah.
And Trey Parker is, he's acting like he's on a soap opera, and then Chota Boy is like legitimately acting. Like I'm like, oh, this guy's actually acting. He's a believable character.
Do you want to hear something interesting about Dian Bachar?
Jesus.
It's a weird name. Dian is a weird name. It's like Ian, but like with a D at the beginning.
Ian, but with a D. Dian. That makes sense.
Yeah.
He's only actually done 4 voices on South Park.
Who does he do?
An announcer, fake Mr. Hanky, which I think is like in a like Mr. Garrison is like hearing maybe Mr. Twig. I don't know. It's old. They're all from like in 1998 to 2000. He does a voice as Chris. Somebody called Chris.
Maybe I'm just thinking of like I saw reruns or something. And was like, oh, it's that guy from Basketball.
He's actually funny enough. He has he's only been put in the credits as his name of 2 of those times. The other 2 are Gary Nicholson and Jack Oldman are his 2 like aliases, which is of course Gary Oldman and Jack Nicholson.
Did you guys see the credits in this one?
I read through them on IMDb several times because I was going down late 90s porn star.
At the end of the movie, it says no Mormons were like injured or something like that.
That's your way of saying I was just looking at porn.
No, I actually didn't. No, I didn't. I actually didn't. I was just I knew it was Chasey Lane and I knew it was Jill Kelly, but I was trying to remember Ashlyn. Anyway, There were a bunch, and I didn't do it. What you think?
Don't really know any. Okay. No, I mean, it's fine if you did. Whatever. Porn is a thing that exists for a specific reason.
I didn't do it. What you think I did?
I didn't do it. What you
I
did.
mean, he did
right?
something
I was
worse.
just looking them up. I wasn't looking at them.
He did something worse than what we thought he did. He thought we were thinking vanilla. He went.
Yeah.
Rocky
Well, that was
Road.
the other thing that I think they had said in their description of this movie is like, we wanted to make a riff on the Skinamax movies, like the movies that you would see on like Showcase and stuff when you were a kid. Only every time you thought you were about to see tits, you just see a big butt, a big hairy butt.
Big hairy butt.
Me and Kaylin have talked about this on the podcast before. Blue Nuit were all Skinamax movies that were just in French.
Love it.
And they were cut down to like an hour, and they were just like the most soft core. Like all you really saw was boobs. And
that's
like,
all I want.
Thrusting, no like penetration, no.
Don't need it.
Well, yeah, it's cable. You can't show it. Like you have to put that on the pay channels, you know.
Yeah. And I get that. I wanted to bring up again Flesh Gordon. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this thing, but this was on Showcase, another Showcase.
Is it tied in with Fleshlights? Are they
no
Flesh Gordon is a parody of Flash, is like the original XXX parody.
Really?
Yeah, it's do you know Flash Gordon?
Flash Gordon. Nope. Flash.
Close. Yeah. Yeah. Queen did the soundtrack.
Oh,
for Flash
I probably
Gordon,
shouldn't look up Flash Gordon on my work computer.
Just tell them that you meant to look up Flash Gordon and
it was work related.
Yeah. I'm working on this project. Flash Gordon is, it's meant to be sort of like a Star Wars.
He's the fast guy, right? He's the Marvel guy, right?
No. That's
the Flash. Flash Gordon is like
he's like a space guy.
Yeah, it's like a Star Wars, like a space opera, like an epic.
Yeah.
Ming the Merciless wants to take over Earth, and Christopher Plummer is like, take us to the planet Earth.
So that's Flash Gordon. You want to hear what the plot for Flesh Gordon is?
The same thing with boobies in it.
No, it's
nice.
Emperor Wang is the leader of the planet Porno and sends his sex raid towards Earth, turning everyone into sex-mad fiends. Only one man can save Earth, a football player, Flesh Gordon.
So it's the same exact story, except the name Wang is switched with Ming, and Flash to Flesh, and sex slaves to just slaves. Regular slaves.
But I think this movie, Orgazmo, I think they had that in mind as well, because the sex ray and the Orgasmerator are basically the same thing, I would say.
Have you ever seen Barbarella?
No, but it's a similar. Is that the one where what's his face is in the?
It's like a slightly toned down Flesh Gordon. It's like it's Jane Fonda, and it's actually pretty good. We watched it before I started doing this. We did like a bad movie night. Like it wasn't a podcast, we didn't record it or anything, but we would just all go onto Zoom and press play at the same time, and we watched Barbarella, and I was like, this movie is pretty sexy. Like it's very horny.
What's the Burt Reynolds one?
I'm not sure.
Smokey and the Bandit?
No. He's in that weird red suit. That's like
I think you're thinking of Zardos, and that is Sean Connery.
Oh yes, that's exactly. I thought it was Burt Reynolds because they looked the same in the 70s.
Because they have a black hair and a black mustache. Yeah,
good old mustaches. Yeah. Everyone with a mustache looks the same. Just like everyone with a beard looks the same. Just like you and me, Jason.
Yep, we're brothers. Yeah, Zardos is exactly what I was thinking of, which is another. It's kind of a Flash Gordon.
That was another like we want to be Star Wars kind of thing. But to this day, people are still trying to make Star Wars, but nobody's been able to figure it out. I think Hunger Games was the closest.
The Zardos?
Hunger Games is good.
Yeah, Hunger Games and Harry Potter are the Zardos of our day.
I think The Lord of the Rings is the closest to the epicness of the original trilogy of Star Wars. Kind of like Star Wars.
I would say it's probably even a little bit more epic.
Maybe even
like there's a little bit
definitely more money and more
better.
Epic effects. Definitely not better. I don't like
a little more lore too. You got a lot of lore to chew on in Lord of the Rings. More like Lore of the Rings, am I right?
I don't know if you guys have been watching new South Park, but
more like Lord of the Rings.
There's a new episode where it's revealed that
I love Lord of the Rings.
that Token, Token Black, the character. Well, his
Yes.
name is spelt like Tolkien.
Yeah.
And the only person that didn't realize that was Stan. So he goes to his doctor and he's like, I think I might be racist. And the doctor's like, well, you should probably just read, do some reading. And he takes that to mean, read all of Tolkien's work.
Right.
Anyway, it's very funny. The new South Park, ever since the pandemic and the new episodes have been banging.
Is there a new episode?
So there's season 25, which is like all of the
One
COVID
episode?
specials. No, there's like 5 of them. It's
5 or
like
2 or 3.
It's like the pandemic special, the Q vaccine, the vaccine Q special,
The post-pandemic.
Post-COVID, and then there's another post-COVID, like post-COVID return of COVID or something.
Return of COVID.
That sounds hilarious.
It's all great. It's all very, very good.
Yeah, I played over quarantine times. I played both of the Star Fox, both of the South Park games.
Also very good.
Yeah, they're great.
With the snowball?
They're like
dodgeball snowball thing?
No. Jason.
Oh, right, that one you told me about last time.
Can we send this guy like a new console so he can play new video games and stop thinking we're talking about games from 1997?
No, there's South Park. We talked about this on another episode. There's South Park.
It's kind of like Final Fantasy or something.
The Stick of Truth, and then Fractured.
Yeah, they're like classic NES RPGs to a degree, with but modernized.
But they look like South Park. They the first game looks like old South Park, and the newer game looks like newer South Park.
3D South Park.
And they're awesome.
It's not 3D. It's
not
2D.
3D. It's 2D. It's
to look like the show.
It looks like you're. So when they came out during years where there was no season of South Park. So they're actually kind of the season for that year because
that's pretty dope.
The storyline,
they are like 40 to 60 hours long.
Yes.
So it's
and this Fractured Butthole has 2 DLCs, which are just like playing through individual episodes.
Oh, I haven't. I should. I got. Really, I didn't finish the superhero one, but I got very close to, so I should probably go back and finish that one off. No pun intended. Orgazmo.
Orgasmorator. So we're at 1 hour. I've exhausted my list.
I didn't have a list. The only thing I wrote down was Ron Jeremy had narcolepsy. Interesting.
I did like after the sushi bar brawl, the guy just goes back to singing karaoke. That made me chuckle a little bit.
Nothing's better than a singing Japanese man.
That's true.
Fuck, man. I didn't think there would be less to talk about for this movie than Cannibal. When we went into Cannibal last week, I was like, fuck, man, we're gonna run into things. But I was watching this movie today, like I watched it on my, like, I sat and watched this because I was anticipating it, like I was stoked. Nice. And right from the get, I was
probably hyped yourself out of it.
I think I did, and I don't think this movie is like, oh man, remember that movie we loved when we were 15? Well, you're gonna have the same reaction to it as a almost 40-year-old man whose palate for, like, my favorite show of the last 5 years is, I just finished, and it's Severance. And Severance is one of the best things I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, also, like I was saying before, like, humor is
Are you putting your hand up because you also watched it, or do you have questions?
I have questions. But Steve, you go ahead. I'll wait.
I was gonna just go on to say that, like, humor is constantly evolving, just like we are, and we're not going to find the things that we found funny still. In fact, the best part about watching comedy from your childhood is when you rewatch it and you find yourself laughing at different things.
Yeah,
and
realizing that, like, your taste has evolved. Because for me, I went through a whole Tim and Eric phase, which is very much anti-comedy. So I laugh at a lot of things that aren't meant to be jokes, and this movie has a lot of those.
Yeah, like, there's
all
one
storyline exposition stuff in this movie kind of reminded me of Cannibal, in that, like, they're just trying to push the storyline along, but it's not. It's bad.
Well,
so
like,
I laugh at it.
Like I was saying before, it's like they're not. It's the humor in this movie is not cleverly written. It's like they're just hitting you with jokes. And if you don't laugh immediately at the thing that you're meant to laugh at, you're not going to laugh at it. You're not going to think about it and laugh about it afterwards. The only moments that I was able to like ruminate were when the dialogue was funny based on interaction. So like the moment when he first meets Chota Boy, and
in the
like,
changing room,
it sounds like you the Holy Father has a better plan for you, or like lots planned for you. And he goes, who? And then he goes, you. And then he goes, what?
Yeah.
Like that is funny. Like that's a funny interaction. And it's like while he's getting changed into his stupid costume.
I giggled a couple of times at Jesus, where?
I've been trying to set you up this whole time. I said it a few times.
Oh, sorry. What were you going to say? What were you going to say, Kaylin? I've been sitting here very curious.
It was like T-ball. It was like T-ball. You know that little thing you put the ball on it?
I know what T-ball is.
Yeah, but some people consider low-hanging fruit something they want to avoid because that's where all the most picked at by the nasty vermin are.
It's true. Low-hanging fruit, it's very loaded. It's a very loaded concept. If you want to know more about low-hanging fruit, listen to the Tenacious D song "Low-Hanging Fruit" because it takes on more than one meaning.
I think I want to listen to it more than once. I was going to ask you though, how much did the church charge you to get married?
Oh, our whole wedding was $10K, and we got most of it back from gifts.
But how much did the church charge you?
$0 because we didn't go with the church. We went with
even better. How much did church charge? Did you ask a church?
No, because we're not religious. We specifically looked for people who weren't going to be like God this and God that. We found a woman justice of the peace in Halifax who was like, I can do like I am ordained that way, so I can do the God stuff, or I can be like the universe brought you together, blah blah blah. And we were like, yeah, that one. But it's so weird. It's very weird that the minister has to say some shit about that. At least talk about the cosmos. That's so fun. Actually, you know what? After being married now for 6 years, me and Madison have this conversation all the time. It's so fucking
What if you
weird.
didn't go through that process? What if you just said, hey, we're married?
Well, if we didn't actually get married, we probably would have had relationship issues. Like we may have broken up at different times in our relationship, because when you're just kind of dating, like when you're just like boyfriend and girlfriend, technically it's easier to get mad about something and be like, fuck this. But when you're married, it's like, well, we went through the commitment ceremony. It's a commitment ceremony is what we did more than anything. And you want to work on things because you become joined like a partnership.
Work through it.
So I've acted as witness for legal ceremonies before, and it's very much just like a, all right, bada bing, bada boom, and you are, and here's your casino chips, and it's like a transaction, right? It doesn't really feel romantic, which is, I know a few people who have done that so that they don't have to pay for an ordainment, right? So they just have somebody that, so they get they do that, and then they have their wedding. And then at the wedding, the person up there can literally just say whatever they want, because at that point you're already legally married. So they'll just go up there and be like, so these are the things I'm going to say, and you can read your vows to each other, and then it's over.
I've known people that just did the town hall thing and spent like $500 on a reception. Yeah. But my wedding was more of my families aren't really family reunion people. Like neither mine or Madison's or either side of either of our families are really family reunion families. And my family brought together two families, both sides of my family that hadn't seen each other in since my parents split up, which at that point had been fucking 15 years. And a bunch of her family got to come and meet the older people in my family. So it was kind of more like a family meeting kind of a thing, because her family meeting. So To the people that are still listening to this podcast, whether it be live or later, this has to do, I believe, with Kaylin wanting to connect this to the fact that this movie is about a wedding, technically.
No, I was connecting it to the fact well, I mean, yeah, but like there's a part in the movie where he's like, why is the chapel or whatever charge so much? And I'm like, first I said to myself, yeah, why do they charge so much? And then I said to myself, wait a second, I don't know how much they charge.
Well,
but I've heard that weddings are expensive.
Yeah, here's the
Let
thing.
me make a note of this and I'll ask Jason.
Here's the thing. Weddings are obnoxiously expensive, and tradition typically states that for like Christian, Catholic, like white people, basically, that the dad of the bride has to pay for it, and they're usually
that's not just white weddings, by the way.
Oh, it's not? Okay. Well, it's usually angled more to be this extravagant, ridiculous, life-changing event. And
in a lot of traditional weddings for most cultures, it's a literal transaction where you are purchasing the bride from the father, but
that's where it comes from.
But it is also meant to be a gift from the father to you, and they're meant to give you a dowry. So rather than an exchange of a dowry anymore, you're literally paying for the ceremony. And it's kind of a weird, gross thing to think about if you think about it for too long, that it still operates that way. It's just now veiled as a party. I mean, my parents kind of the same thing.
My dad paid 6 goats for Madison, so
well, that's why you have so many goats.
That's why I have 6 goats.
Wondering.
Yeah, goats are perfect. You got milk, you got eggs, you got meat.
Say wheat?
He said eggs.
Yeah, I know.
I just had 2 goat eggs for breakfast.
That's the joke. But then he said wheat. That's the confusing part. I think we just had our first joke on Hey, did you see this one? I think that was our first joke.
We've had plenty of jokes all the time. We joke all the time.
Oh God.
If you've seen a joke on this podcast, please
I choked on my own
down below.
Laughter. Yeah, no, I have 4 weddings this year to go to, and I'm like, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money out of my pocket at the end of the day. Wedding gifts.
I went to a wedding one
expensive.
time, and the minister, they had like an even more like talks about the universe, like anti-religion minister. But then like a couple years later, my buddy who got married was like, oh, that guy turned out to be like a fucking alt-right weirdo, like psycho alt-right weird, like flat earther fucking weirdo, anti-vax. And I was
that's why like if somebody I don't know very well invites me to a wedding, I'm always like questioning it, because I'm like, I don't know you that well to go to your wedding, and I don't know how well you and your partner get along to go to this wedding. Yeah, let alone pay you $200 to be invited to your dinner.
I've only been to a couple like religion-based weddings, and I'll never forget. I don't know if it was probably just because I was a kid, and like, you know, when you're a kid you can't sit still. But my aunt and uncle's wedding, I swear to God, that ceremony was like an hour and 45 minutes long, because it was like now you light your candle and you light your candle.
Yeah, but when you know together. The person and you've known them for a very long time. Like I went to Arjun's wedding in September, and I was getting misty-eyed at like every freaking moment of that wedding, man. And it was like a days-long ceremony. It was intense, but like, because there's all these pre-events for the bride and the groom. Obviously I went to most of the groom's events, but it's all very involved, and there's all these sort of like traditional things that I wasn't familiar with. And
activities?
I mean, I wouldn't call them activities. I would call them ceremonies. Welcome to this activity where you stick a stick into a pot of earth, and it's meant to represent something. Like I remember asking afterwards, and it's like all of the people who are closest to the groom are meant to grab this stick and bury it deep into this pot of dirt.
Oh, nice.
And no one really explained to me what it represented afterwards. So I was sort of like looking at it symbolically. I'm like, it's like we're taking Arjun as the stick, and we're pushing him a little bit deeper into like his own life, and like that's what I was like thinking of it. And I was like, I was asked to join into that, and I thought I was just going to watch, and Arjun was like, you're coming up too. And I was like, what? What do I have to do? And he's like, just stand there.
Check it.
My brother-in-law will tell you what to do. And
then you took his shirt.
Well, actually, you one of the things is like all of the male members of the bridal side at one part during the ceremony are meant to try and steal the shoes of the groom, and then if they get the shoes, we have to go and like negotiate to buy the shoes back.
While
There's
they're
all
on
these
his
weird
feet?
there's while the wedding is happening. So like during that ceremony, we're meant to like guard the shoes.
This
And Arjun was
sounds
like, make sure no
awful.
one steals my shoes. And I was like, what? Okay. And then they got the shoes. And I was like, oh no, Arjun, we lost
There was
your
a
shoes.
trickster element to this wedding.
Well, it was a Hindu and Sikh wedding. So there was like a bunch of different traditions happening at the same time.
That
Sounds
sounds fun.
awesome.
It was
That
actually
sounds like
really fun.
genuinely that sounds like a genuinely fun wedding. Do you know what I think that to bring it kind of back around to Orgazmo, I think the most milquetoast, boring ass wedding to go to would probably be Mormon. It's probably like a full day. It's probably like, just all God nonsense.
I went
Everybody's-
to a Catholic wedding in Ireland. So it was
Yeah,
like
but
extra
that
Catholic.
might even be fun because like that might be a little bit.
Was like I almost.
Do you
fell
have to
asleep.
do the vows with each one though, or can you just say it once and it applies to all 8 of them?
For what?
How many wives do they have?
That's not how that works.
Are you?
You
You're
don't
thinking...
get married at the same time. You get married, and that's only certain Mormons. Mormons don't.
Yeah, that's
always
not
have multiple
all Mormons.
wives. And you don't marry all your wives at the same time.
Yeah,
you
you
develop
get them as you go.
relationships. You develop relationships one at a time.
And it's usually within a community, and it's like the same thing where like a father will be like, "Oh, that man has a large farm, so we should have our daughter marry him as well."
I think
Get in on that.
I was trying to do a comedy again, but here on
I didn't like it though.
this one we don't do jokes.
I like the goat egg joke better.
Yeah, we've had one joke ever, and it's that a goat lays eggs. That's the funniest thing that any of us have ever said on this thing.
Yeah, I think the best part of the Irish wedding that I went to was that I was in Ireland while it was happening. I was like, well, at least I'm in
awesome.
like a 500-year-old church that's probably full of ghosts. That was like the best part about it, but it was like you're in there and everybody is like stern and like watching the wedding ceremonies.
I was gonna make some bold stereotypes, but I'm gonna say that somebody had to be drinking some form of whiskey, right? Like there was.
It was also very, very early in the morning. The ceremony.
Okay.
That doesn't
And then
stop
after
anyone.
that, it's like now everybody's gonna get drunk for the rest of the day. Like we
For
went
the
to the
rest of the
hotel
week.
afterwards, and right away there was a guy like, "Would you like mimosas?" And I was like, "Yes, please."
Yeah.
I need happy juice. That was the most boring 3 hours of my life.
So I imagine, though, realistically, a Mormon wedding is everybody's very cheery and very happy, and everybody's just psyched about God, and it just goes on forever, and they read the whole Bible, and it's probably not fun, but it's probably pleasant.
I'd rather go to a wedding from the village in Midsummer.
No,
I feel like it would be more fun up until the point that they steal my skin or whatever.
Bake you into a fucking bear costume.
Yeah.
Caitlin, have you seen Midsummer?
The movie?
Yeah.
Or the Shakespeare play?
No, not A Midsummer's Night's Dream. Midsummer.
Yeah.
The fucking Rian, what's his name? Rian.
Renee?
Oh gosh, he directs really, really good movies, but they're like also super
he also
disturbing.
did Hereditary, and he's got a new one coming out soon that I'm very excited.
Hereditary threw me off at first when I watched it, but it's actually pretty good.
Midsummer
threw you off, like in what way?
Because like it kind of sets up the girl, right, and then
okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
spoilers.
No, I didn't spoil anything. I stopped talking. I made movements or whatever.
The movie's more than that. The movie's more about the mom overall, I would say. And
But then it's also
grandmother.
even more about the son.
So even more about
it's
the
even
son.
more.
Yeah.
It's about a family. It's about a family.
It's like 3 misdirects, and then at the end, it's like it brings you back to it is actually about the girl all along.
Yeah,
M. Night Shyamalan.
the whole nightmare. It's better than M. Night Shyamalan because his fucking storytelling got old after like 2 movies.
Whoa!
I love M. Night Shyamalan, and I love all his movies, and I think they're awesome.
That's fair. I haven't seen all of them. I've only seen like the bad ones. I've only seen like Avatar.
I'm only gonna watch the ones that everyone hates.
I've only seen Avatar and The Happening. Avatar and The Happening.
Those are the 2 that are the most panned.
Yeah. Oh, and V, which I also hated.
V. What's V?
It's V.
Or what's it? Or not V. What's the elevator one?
Oh, Devil.
Devil.
You only
I
read
was
the
thinking-
I'm
big
pretty sure that
V.
one was
It's
good.
like spell with
Were
a
they were
big
trapped
V.
on an elevator?
Yeah, I
Like
hated
it's
it.
V, the movie V. It's supposed
But
to.
the
I think
night-
it's supposed to be like a down arrow on an elevator.
Yeah, the night I
Ah,
watched
for sure.
Devil, I actually came home from a party at your old place, Steve, and I watched Devil, and it was Halloween night.
Mm.
And into the wee hours of the morning, I watched Devil, and then I watched Saw for the first time, and I was like, "Wow, Saw is
For the first
amazing."
time.
The first
Saw
Saw
is
is pretty
amazing.
great.
Saw is
Um,
not what people think it is. It turned into what people think it is, but the original Saw is just
Yeah.
like a cool, like 80s horror fucking cop drama.
Yeah, and if you don't know what the twist in Saw is going in, it's pretty like, whoa,
Yeah.
shocking. That's a real twist.
And then the next movie,
Yeah.
they're like, well, what if this guy has to fucking swan dive into a bunch of needles to get a head brace off that'll smash your brain?
It turns into all the gross traps.
All
And then you
the-
see
yeah,
it,
how
and you
gore
cut
can it
your
get?
own arm off to save the lady.
How creative. Very creative, though. Very creative.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
you're into
the one
torture
curse of
porn.
Saw in my life was I worked at an escape game for like a pretty long time. Jason, you worked there as well.
I worked
and, like,
there as well.
everybody
Can I
that would
get in?
come into the waiting room before the game starts, like they'd be like, "Is this gonna be like Saw?"
Like, Saw. Are you gonna put me
I'm
in
like,
one of those Saw machines?
Sometimes I'd be like, "Yes, you may have felt groggy this morning. It's because I drugged you last night and sewed a key into the back of your eyeball."
You remember me at the
Why do
bar
you think we
last
asked
night?
for your address on the form?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is necessary, but it must be part of the experience.
I would do an M Night month. Like I would say let's go through some of his best. I watched Old recently and I liked it, man.
Old
It's
was
weird
good.
as heck, but it's
Well,
it's
I want to
pretty
watch
fun.
Old, and I do. I've never seen Lady in the Water, and I don't know the twist, and I don't know the. I
Is that
do know
M.
the,
Night?
Yeah, and I do know the twist for The Village, but I don't know the context. So these are
Right.
movies that I've always been interested in. Obviously, Old is new, but those two movies specifically, I've always been interested in what the deal is.
Nice.
What's
That
the
other one
deal
that
with the
came
lady?
out, the one where the kids go to stay with their grandparents, that came out a few years ago, like 7 years ago or something. That one
Which
was
one?
really good too. I can't remember what it's called. It's the kids go to stay with their grandparents.
I have
and
been
then-
meaning. I have been
and they've
meaning
never
to
met their
watch-
grandparents before, so it's like the first time they're meeting their grandparents, and like weird shit is happening, and they're like, our grandparents are
This is
both
weird.
suffering from mental illness, maybe. Is kind of like the concept.
Oh yeah, I am stoked. This is a big M. Night Shyamalan twist to you guys, but I've never seen Unbreakable. But I'm glad that I haven't, because now I can watch the whole trilogy, because the whole trilogy is
It's
Com-
it's one of the best
complete.
It might be the best superhero movie trilogy ever.
why I believe it, because it's I don't know, but I assume
It's
it's the most
rooted-
realistic.
Exactly, in
Yeah.
realism. Yeah.
Yeah, well, prepare yourself for a Glaster piece.
For a
Uh,
split spaghenza.
Yeah, I think I stole that joke from something, but just call me a glass hole, I guess. At the end of the day,
What a glass hole.
I liked Glass, actually. It was pretty. A lot of people really didn't like it, but I was kind of into it. And it was like the first time in a long time where Bruce Willis seemed like he was actually into the movie that he was in. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna play the same character I was playing. It's fine, and I won't sit here and act like I don't give a shit about this movie and only care about the $1 million I'm making per day.
So
I think people went in with an expectation with Glass, but on repeat viewings, I think they would appreciate it that much more.
Right, and Split, they didn't realize it was part of it, right? Like that was the
Yeah.
whole
it
like
just came
what?
out, and then you
Yeah.
find
But
out.
James McAvoy killed that. Give him
James
all
McAvoy's
of the
amazing.
awards. I will say this every time. Give him all of the awards. Give him a Grammy. Give him an Oscar.
Give him an
Yeah.
full
Give him-
EGOT.
When his one personality comes out and sings that hit
This is-
Grammy award-winning song.
So let me
Exactly.
just right the ship here for a second, guys, because we just
Are we anchoring? Are we
I
porting?
think we're gonna port. I think we're gonna anchor. I think I want to end this podcast a little early this week, because we haven't talked
We're
about
actually kinda
Orgazmo
late.
in like 20 minutes. Well, no, we're only 20 minutes over the 1 hour mark. So usually we go 2 hours minimum.
But don't we?
I know, but
isn't the idea an hour? Wasn't that the original conversation?
Well, we were going for a
So-
live broadcast, but this isn't the case anymore.
I've bent Steve has bent my will and destroyed my.
Well, it's because if we want to have
resolve.
organic conversation, cutting things off while we're talking about them is detrimental to the flow of a thought.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
do think that if we're not talking about the movie anymore, let's call it for this week.
That's a good point. That's a good.
But what if people are really into our conversation about maybe watching Glass?
What are you trying to have 4 dicks inside you?
I've derailed that DVDA. So just the last thing I wanted to say about this is the whole final moment is a little bit too rapey for me. The fact that they get her and they're like, we're gonna do sex to ya and film it, was like that. Even for the time is a little bit like, I get it. It's supposed to be like, the woman in peril,
the damsel in distress
kind of thing. But that's so fucking gross to me. That grossed me out real bad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing that you can say, which obviously I'm not advocating for rape on screen, is that every 80s action movie, the ones that we were talking about, how these movies are modeled, they almost always open with like a brutal rape scene. Like every what's that those Charles Bronson movies?
No,
death proof
man.
No. Death Man. What are they called?
Dark Man.
No, Dark Man is a Sam Raimi movie and it's amazing and there's no rape in it.
No, this is the thing where there's like 6
Hollow
of them,
Man,
right?
Death Wish. Yeah.
There's like 10 of them.
You don't know who Charles Bronson is, do you, Kaylin? Because you just said 2 movies starring Kevin Bacon and Liam Neeson. Dark Man, Hollow Man.
Charles Bronson is
they're both invisible.
You caught on to the man instead of the death part. You're like, no, there's death is in the title. Man is not in the title.
Did Charles Bronson ever play like a horribly stereotypical like Aboriginal person or a horribly stereotypical Asian person, because he looked vaguely like both of those things? And I
think that says more about you than him.
No. I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, fucking make him a goddamn Indian.
I'm told my ethnicity is hard to pin down, and I could play a lot of different ethnicities.
That fucking, is that fucking not Clint Eastwood, the other one? Hey there, Bill Durham.
Oh, the president.
Hey there. You're thinking of Ronald Reagan. You're talking about the Duke.
John Wayne.
John Wayne.
Yeah.
John Wayne plays.
All right, Pilgrim. I have a funny John Wayne story. I don't know if I've told it on this podcast before. If you guys want to hear it.
Now seems like as good a time as ever.
Yeah,
but this is like a friend of mine told me, and I always think about it every time John Wayne comes out. And it's like, I used to work for the beer store doing deliveries, and I was like in the cab with this guy for months and months, and then for some reason we got on the topic about John Wayne, and he's like, I used to work with this guy who was John Wayne's carpenter. And I was like, his carpenter? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, why the fuck did John Wayne need like an on-hand carpenter? And he's like, I'll tell you why. And he's like, John Wayne used to get so drunk in his house, in his mansion, that he would walk around his house and he would just kick open doors. Like if they were closed, he would just kick them open and break off the door frame. So he would call this guy to come and fix the door frames for him.
That's dope.
And sometimes he would get drunk while the guy was there repairing them, and he would just kick them open, and they'd be like, "Just throw it on the tab." He was just like so drunk.
I'm John Wayne, and I don't get.
And I'm like, that is like the most amazing and scary thing I've ever heard in my life. Imagine just being a carpenter, like working in a mansion, and hearing down the hallway like another door getting kicked open. Like,
it sounds like a funny scene from a movie.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah.
Speaking of funny scenes,
maybe only on paper though. Maybe it doesn't translate well to film.
Speaking of funny scenes for movies, I think it would translate well. I'm surprised he didn't make that movie. I think Jimmy Stewart made all those kinds of movies where he was just wasted on camera. Yeah. So let's.
Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, let's take it home. Let's do our final thoughts and take her home. Like I said, if we're not talking about Orgazmo, we kind of sealed Orgazmo's fate. This is probably the most off topic we've ever gone. We talked about not Orgazmo from right around 5 after the hour. We were still kind of getting into it. It's now 42 minutes after the hour, and we talked about M. Night Shyamalan for most of that. So
Great guy.
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's not a lot to talk about with this movie, to be honest.
No, and it's unfortunate that there was more to talk about with Cannibal, because it's like objectively like a not as well made movie, but this is just from an era of raunchy comedy that just needs to be put into a vault.
Execution. It was
shallow
execution.
grave.
There were ideas. There
Yeah.
was definitely ideas, like elements. There is seeds.
A lot can be said about the fact that the only way for the three of us to watch this movie was to sail the 7 seas. Usually you can find it somewhere on some streaming service. Kaylin owns every movie typically. You know, we do our damnedest. But
yeah, I found a Blu-ray of it, and I was thinking about ordering it on Amazon, but I was like, I can't. I just don't want to go through the hassle of ordering it, watching it, realizing I hate it, and then having to like.
Send it to me. I'll buy it off of you.
Well, I didn't buy it because I did that with Akira, but like I ordered it, and then Danny found it, and we watched it, and I was like, I'm not canceling that because that was amazing.
Yeah, good.
I want to keep this.
Yeah, it's a fucking great movie. So to that note, Steve, why don't you give us your final thought on Orgazmo, and we'll fucking smash this ship right into the twin towers.
Well, I was thinking about how gee whiz. I didn't even process what you said until Kaylin was like, "Whoa!"
I wanted to make a joke too.
Very good joke? Question mark. So I was thinking about how I had thought that Dian Dovavan or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Bachar.
Bachar. It might be French. Bachar.
Oh yeah, Bachar. Dian Bachar.
Oh, Dian Bachar. Maybe just a French name. That sounds very French when you say it like that. Dian Bachar.
Yeah.
When you say it like that,
it's probably pronounced like Dian Bachar. Anyway, I don't know. Deshar, that looks like it is pronounced Deshar. But anyway, I was thinking about how you had said that he hasn't done a voice on South Park since like 2001 or whatever, and I'm like, I wonder if he finally got tired of them just having him around as like the butt of jokes.
Tweak, basically. Yeah.
Well, I was listening to the audio commentary for this, and he's in the room with his girlfriend, and they're ragging on him and his girlfriend the entire time. Oh. But they like do like a sprinkle of like, you're actually the best actor in this movie, you know that, right? And he's like, well, I was just doing my job, I guess. And then Trey Parker will be like, yeah, but the only reason I made this movie is so that you'd be walking around with a dildo on your head the entire time. You know that, right? And like, he was laughing, but at the same time, like there's like 11 people in the room while this commentary was happening, and they were all just ripping on him. And then I started to think about basketball, and I'm like, they just do the same thing to him in that movie. Like, he's literally his character. They call him little bitch the whole time. And I'm like, maybe he just got tired of it. And he's like, no, fuck you guys. This is like my career is
you call me little bitch like 10 or 11 more times.
Exactly.
We'll get there.
Wrote that in the script. Yeah. And I'm not bringing it up as a point of humor. I'm bringing it up as a point of human detriment to somebody who got so upset with like how they're being treated that they may have cut ties with two of the most famous people on planet Earth. I don't know. That's my theory. But why else has he not worked with them in 20 years or whatever? Anyway,
it makes sense for sure.
And it made me be like, ugh, are they just bullies? And they're just bullying the world? Like, that's their whole shtick, is like, let's bully the world.
Well, that's because bullies got bullied, so then they tried to bully to make up for the bullying.
Right. So they were bullied when they were younger, and then they became bullies by having people like Dian Bachar around, and then now they just are still at a status where they can keep bullying people. And the more I think about it, the more disgusted I am with them as people. But I don't know if this is true. This is just me being like, ugh. And you know what? At least now they're aiming high for their bullying. Like, they go after Hollywood elitists and stuff and politicians, and not people who don't deserve it.
And that's where you know, so like fire can be good or bad, right? Like, it can heat your home, it can burn down your home. You know, a bully, you know, directed in the right direction. I'm not advocating for bullying, but at the same time,
I get your sentiment.
There's something to say to it.
let's
Right.
let Steve finish his final thoughts so we can do something else.
My
now.
apologies.
And this movie didn't really feel like it was a full thought. I appreciated some stuff. I already mentioned a couple of the jokes that made me laugh. The fart jokes did not land for me. The visual comedy, for the most part, didn't land for me. One thing I did like about the fart jokes is that they're like tiny farts. They're not like giant farts. And at first I was like, is there something wrong with my audio? I'm like, no, they just made them tiny farts. Like if you're to force out a fart when you don't need to, that's what the fart would be like.
Yeah.
But if you have one loaded, right, it's going to be like a huge one. But like fart jokes can be funny. I've been watching The Good Place recently, and like there's a character called Bad Janet, and one of her trademark moves is to just let out a really long, loud fart in the middle of a scene, and it's usually quite funny because it's earned. It's an earned joke where like the scene will be serious and there'll be a moment of sentiment, and you'll be in an off-put place, and then she'll be like, oh, one more thing, and you're like, oh no, it's gonna be, and then she'll like make a huge fart, and I'm like, okay. You got me again with the fart. I didn't think. And then she'll call him a fat dink afterwards or something. Anyway, so as I said with Hannibal, it's like we're on the road to where they were to where they are. Unfortunately, our sort of an analysis of Trey Parker, Matt Stone in terms of their filmography ends with Team America. They haven't made a movie since, and they probably never will again, because all they talk about every time they make a movie is how much they hate making movies. And I know that animation is far more stressful, but I think that they cracked a code long ago, and they've stuck to it, and they tinker with the formula every couple of years, and they figure out how to stay relevant. And then they have since, and I think that that's the key to longevity. I haven't watched The Simpsons or Family Guy in a very long time. Those two shows have somehow stuck around just as long. I think both of them have been going for. Simpsons is much longer. I think it was
Simpsons, South Park, and then Family Guy. I think.
Yeah, because Family Guy got taken off the air for a couple of years and then was brought back. And then I think of stuff like Rick and Morty, I would say is very clever for the most part. They always have heavy stories that are going along within, and it's usually ongoing stuff too. Like they will be referential to stuff that's happened earlier, whereas South Park
Morty's way more special. It takes them 2 to 3 years to do a season, and they're only 10 episodes.
Yeah, and I've watched all of Community recently as well, and it's like the writing staff, it's not all the same people, but there is sort of like cross-semination with Dan Harmon across all of his stuff, and he has a particular way of writing, and so does South Park, and I think that they found a formula, and it's really good. And I'll never say anything bad about them in terms of the quality of their work that they do now, but I will say that this is some of the worst quality work I've ever seen in my entire life. I think it's terrible. I didn't like it at the birthday party that I saw it at when I was in 8th grade, and I don't like it now. I give this movie a bicycle helmet with a dildo on it versus not wearing a bicycle helmet with a dildo on it. And take that for what you will.
Amazing. I get the sentiment. Yeah, so just to what you were saying just before I go to Kaylin, ironically, they have a 3-movie deal at Paramount. I don't know if that means they're going to do any live action. It might be a situation where they do.
They currently do?
Yeah, like that's why South Park's on the Paramount network now. They moved everything over there, and they have a 3-movie deal. But I don't know if that means that they're going to do 3 of those, like what would formerly be a straight to DVD situation, like Imagination Land was supposed to be and kind of was, and also what Futurama did in between seasons, where it'd be like Bender's Big Day, and Family Guy did it a little bit. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was, as far as animated series go, American Dad is still on and running, and I think Bob's Burgers also. Like they still make new episodes of American Dad, and Bob's Burgers is slowly becoming one of those things that's going to probably end up being a show that's around for 20 years. Because people
started watching
there's a movie coming out. Yeah, I think they're only on like season 8 or 9. I think like it hasn't been around.
Really, it feels like it's been on forever.
Do you want to check that?
Yeah, I'll check it.
should I watch Bob's Burger? Is that what
But
you're
it's
saying?
no, like I don't think it's for us. I think if you grew, it's one of those like Simpsons deals where you got to kind of grow up with it to really it be part of your life.
Gotcha.
And
I
Family
could go
Guy
for
was
a
kind of
burger
like
right
that
now.
for us.
It's been on. It's been 9 years. It aired
I
in
said
2013. Yeah.
8 or 9 seasons.
Yeah.
But I think that they're having the movie coming out now. Simpsons took like 15 or 17 seasons for the movie to come out.
I think that was like they almost every 2 years since it came out, they had a movie that they were gonna do.
Yeah.
But they couldn't find a script that they thought worked. And then, which is
Family
surprising when
Guy-
you look at the script that they did choose, and you're like,
I guess though. I
The
guess it's a
Dome or
movie.
whatever.
But Family Guy's never had a real. There is
The
a
Stewie
straight to
Griffin
DVD movie, but there's no actual Family Guy movie that was in theaters, which is interesting. But anyway,
I'm still waiting for the Community movie.
yeah,
6
seasons
in a movie.
Yeah.
All right, Kaylin, take us home. Well, I'll get to my final thought.
I'm not taking us home. I'm taking us to your place.
Take us to
As
me.
we walk from Steven's place to your place, we're walking. I'm wearing my onesie.
Dude ass. Nope. I will censor you.
So I'll say this much. I really wanted a onesie. I wanted one of those old man. I guess I know it from a cartoon. Like I'm not too sure where I know the look from, but I think it's from a cartoon.
From the fucking
Every cartoon since the beginning of cartoons.
Yeah.
With the butt flap though, right? With the butt flap, right?
Yeah. Kalen's like, I've never seen a homeless man smelling a pie and floating through the air. Is that a thing that's been done in cartoons before?
Maybe they need a towel cape, and maybe they need their hair slicked down.
boy.
I am a little upset that it's not a butt flap; it's a butt slit. I don't like that.
Talk about your. God damn it.
All right. We're walking from. You're taking us home. I'm walking us from Stevens to your place, and I'm jabbering because I don't have too much to say.
Now it makes sense.
I will be a little more. What's the word I'm looking for? I thought about it before I started talking. Critical. I'm going to be a little more critical with this one than maybe I normally am. I did have laughs. There were little internal, like just personal kind of things. Like if you were joking around with friends, it would actually be that much better kind of thing. But the execution wasn't there. Like to be, a little bit blunt or whatever. I do kind of want to add it to my collection for a few reasons. Like there were a few jokes that once in a blue moon, I could see myself popping this on now that I've seen it or whatever, and just kind of like having a little chuckle, although, as you grow older, things change. But the other thing too is, and I blame McDonald's for this, but I have like this weird ingrained like habit now where it's like you need to collect the whole set, right? So it's like, oh, I like these guys, I have these things of theirs, I need to have this too because it's a part of it or whatever, right?
You mean like the toys for McDonald's made you that way?
Well, that and that scene from Ace Ventura, When Nature Called, Guano, collect the whole set.
Oh, okay. So Ace Ventura and McDonald's fucked you up. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. And but yeah, there were elements in the movie that I liked. There's definitely inklings, seedlings, hints of. What are you laughing at?
I don't know.
It is nice to see the growth from what was to what is.
Yeah.
Like the comparison, like when you look at, like you find some old homework or whatever, or like schoolwork where you had to write whatever, and I want to be a doctor, but it's in like, crayon and all silly looking and whatever. I kind of compare it to that, right? Like, oh, that's cute. It's dumb, it's shitty, but it's cute or whatever. Like you're trying, you know what I mean?
I would say it's more like looking at a flower and then pulling the flower out and be like, oh, this is a nice flower, and then looking at the dirt and being like, ugh, dirt.
I give this movie a DVD I'm trying to have 4 dicks inside of me. That's what I give it.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
But
Well,
I
after
think we
that,
could
I'll
add
say
a
that you
5th
definitely
one.
have 1 dick inside.
She's missing out. She could have went with 5.
It's true, but she's the only old
Yes.
whore that can take 4 dicks. So Orgazmo was a resounding disappointment for all of us, it felt like, but we all seem to have kind of a
Different
connection
reasons.
to it. But we all have like a connection to it from our past. Sorry, Kaylin, I regret. I regret. It was 2 hours ago. I can't recall. I didn't mean to say regret. I'm sorry. Did you watch this when you were a teenager, or did you see it more recently? Okay.
No, this is the first time I watched it. I saw the cover. I remember the cover.
Right.
And
Okay.
I never came across it again.
Well, it's interesting because I thought that you would have gotten more of a kick out of it than you did, but that says a lot about how comedy has changed since. I imagine if you had seen it when you were a teenager, you would hold the same love
It'd be
for
more
it.
nostalgia to it.
Yeah, that I kind of had, and Steve. Well, you're a different cat. You're a different kind of cat. So I could see you hating this one.
Yeah, I never thought somebody farting in their hand and throwing it into somebody else's face was funny.
So funny to me. It's so
Does
stupid.
anyone ever mix you up with Matt Stone? I'm getting a Matt Stone look from you right now.
No one's ever mixed me up with. Like, I don't want to sound like an offensive.
I don't want to sound like a
homosexual right now,
heterosexual,
but I kind of want to make love to you right now.
You tonight.
Yeah.
And that was, when we made the jokes, that's where we got to. We never said like, I kind of like Depeche Mode.
He should have kissed Santos at the end.
Yeah,
that was like the one where I'm like, they're not gonna kiss. Come on.
Yeah,
one of the best jokes in the movie that we didn't talk about is when he's like, the mariachi band kind of sounds like Depeche Mode, and I was like, that makes no sense, and that's a joke. That's a funny written joke. Anyway,
if you know who Depeche Mode is, which is a very dated joke.
Well, you would in 1997. If you were in your 20s in 1997, you would know who Depeche Mode were because they were huge.
Not me.
Yeah. So that what I'm saying is that referential jokes don't age well, because if you show that to like
a Zoomer, they would have no idea what any of this movie.
Even I am like, I don't even really.
They're like,
know.
what kind of a store is she in with the rectangle things on the shelves?
Right.
Why? How they can watch porno in a theater?
But I mean, Captain Marvel came out, so we all know what a video store is now.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. We all know what Radio Shack looked like in the 90s. Anyway, I digress. I want to make this short and sweet because at the end of the day, I loved this movie when I was 15. I loved it when I was 25. And let's just say I'm 35 and I fucking did not have a good time. That said, I had a lot of laughs. And to your point, Kaylin, I think that the scrawling of a crayon is more last week's movie, and this is like attempting cursive and kind of failing.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like when you're starting to learn cursive in like, late elementary, I think.
Not anymore.
I guess they stopped teaching.
Does that mean that basketball is going to be like reading a really poorly written essay in high school?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think that we've said more. I don't even think we need to do next week. I think we're just going to come on here next Friday and get fucking tanked and just have a.
I'll come on and I'll read.
Now you're a
man. Essay that I wrote in high school.
Exactly.
Jason, your birthday's coming upon us. Tell the viewers.
It's April 26th. Next week we're going to do basketball for my birthday party. I hopefully won't get as Kaylin, as I like to call it, as Kaylin got Kaylin on his birthday episode where anyway, we don't talk about that episode. We don't talk about Kaylin. No. We don't talk about Kaylin. Anyway,
my birthday is on a Wednesday.
Nice.
We're going to watch a whole bunch of weird Dr. Seuss movie. What was it that you wanted? Stephen
King.
No.
What?
Yeah, only Dr. Seuss movies. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Cat in the Hat.
I didn't even finish.
Here's the Who and the Lorax.
Here's the Who and the Lorax.
I didn't even finish my fucking thought, but I just want to finish off with Orgazmo.
You're short and sweet.
Orgazmo was fine. I didn't like it this time, and that happens a lot when you have to get critical about fucking raunchy late night. They're called late night raunchy comedies on Netflix or whatever. and this is that in spades. And god damn it, just I think Trey Parker needs influence to make jokes work better, because what, like Steve said, what it comes down to is like sounds and fart noises, and you know, like the funniest parts of this, and dildos on heads. The funniest parts of this were when Trey Parker is just making a weird voice or doing a voiceover, and those were kind of the funniest parts of Cannibal. And I was actually realizing today that like South Park is like these weird like plot points sewn together with just like fart and sex and dick jokes and mildly racist jokes, just like
I wouldn't say mildly.
Super
racist.
Yeah, and political humor and stuff. But with like the hilariously bad takes that are supposed to be taken, you know, it's through a liberal lens. And you know, anyway, I'm only gonna give this movie a 3 out of 5, and that's
pretty gracious.
That's like
generous.
That's a generous 3 because of the nostalgia, like I did last week. Yeah, but I'm gonna stick with the 3 because I think that overall it's like a pretty good looking movie. It's like it's a competent movie. It's just the content has some issues with cohesion. But I'm you know, I'm always going to rate movies that have nostalgia factor a little bit higher. I guess a 2.5 would be, I almost feel like that's too low.
No, don't back down.
I'm not backing down. I'm sticking with a 3.
Or just start changing your ranking system to randomness.
No, never.
No, only me and you can do that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I have a integrity to uphold.
Integrity.
Anyway, Integrity Farms. This has been another goddamn episode of this fucking podcast. I'm sorry that I'm putting you guys through this.
I'm not. Jesus and I love you.
I accept your apology.
Next week's gonna be a lot of fun. Maybe we can invite some of our friends to come watch. Like actually be like, hey, will you come watch? We got to figure out a way to get people to watch this, because every day that goes by, I wonder.
So wait, are we doing a watch party for this one?
No.
Oh, sorry.
We're just gonna get drunk.
Yeah, we're just gonna
basketball.
I mean,
we could get drunk.
Potentially, we could have the movie playing at the same time and comment as we're going through it, if you wanted to.
We could. But we can't do that with anyway. We can talk about this after.
Instagram might get technical about copyright or whatever.
Week,
I mean we watch it and we don't have the visual of it on the Zoom, but we just have it. We'll talk about this after.
Yeah, next week, for all intents and purposes, we're gonna do a regular show. It's gonna be basketball, but it's gonna be on Friday.
It's gonna be next Friday.
We're gonna have a post-show mentality. I don't care about an end time. We're gonna be partying. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna be live on Instagram. I'm gonna be live on TikTok.
Is the missus gonna be with us?
No. So this has been another episode of Hey, did you see this one?
Night.
And for Kaylin and Steve, I'm Jason.
For Jason and Steven.
No, you're Steve.
I'm Jason.
I want to be Steve.
Okay, for Kaylin, for Jason, I am Steve.
You're Carl. Kyle. Sorry, I talked over you. Go ahead. Do it again. My bad.
For Jason, for Kaylin, I am Steven.
Are we both? Do we start with Jason? Should I start with Jason also?
Okay.
Should I try and
whoever
change
the
my
heck
thing?
you want.
Well, it's his month. You know what? I'm going to start with him. For Jason and Steven, I'm Kellen. I think Jason has something to ask you.
This week on 60 Minutes, we have to ask, hey, did you see this one?
Oh, come on now. Oh, come on now. Did you see that?
Is that the T-Rex?
I don't know. It sounds like a Cajun cook. more like
Swedish Chef by Cajun Cook. Oh, did you see this?
It's so hot in here. I need to open a
Did you see this one?
Did you see this one?
Now you've seen it. I've seen it.